You know what I was thinking about the other day on Valentine's Day? I said I was gonna tell this story about how I got denied from going to prom. I mean, I still could have went, but I didn't want to go because boy got turned down. And I said I didn't want to tell that story because the chat was kind of dead at the time. But then I realized, bro, like I could always just clip that part of the stream and just post that on my Instagram or freaking YouTube or something. But when I was in school, for those of y'all that don't know, I missed out on a lot of things. You know, I didn't go on a lot of field trips. I didn't go to Camp Keep, never went to Hearst Castle. I don't know if y'all school went to Hearst Castle, but we went a few times. I never went. A lot of like the end of the year celebrations, I was always getting in trouble. And that kind of started in elementary and kind of went on all the way to junior high and high school. Well, junior high, I went to like a few dances and a few events, but like high school, I didn't really do all that much. Oh, I did go to grad night, but I didn't go to prom because a very annoying situation happened. So around my junior year, I'm gonna go all the way back to the beginning on how this started. But in my junior year, I was in English class, and it was me. I forgot who the teacher was. I think it was a female at this point. But the only person I remember being in that class at that time was my homie Dejan. And if I'm not mistaken, I think my homie Ryan was in there too. But I could be tripping and mistaking it for another class, maybe chemistry. But we were in there in that class, and one day we got like a new student, and it was some female. Now, I'm not gonna put her on full blast. I'm not gonna say her last name, but I will say her first name because I'm just in the mood today. But this girl's name was Melissa. And the first thing everybody noticed when she walked in was like, my God, this girl looks pretty damn good. And then she started talking, and she had like this like unique like kind of like accent. And I was like, damn, like usually I'm gonna be straight up. Usually when I go to school, bro, like my focus was not on females at all. Like I was there to kind of just, you know, fool around with my friends and sometimes get an education. I know some of y'all dudes just went there to chase tail, you know, especially in high school, but that wasn't me. But when I saw this girl, I was like, you know what? I think it's about that time to start getting, you know, start spitting. So keep in mind, I was not that experienced at it, but you know, I tried, you know, and I shot my shot first day, bro. Like I didn't waste no time. Like after class, like I think I walked her to the next class, and then I saw her at the end of the day. I walked her like out front to the front of the school, and I asked her if she had a man. Well, I asked her if I could get her number. And then she said like, oh, it just lets you know I have a man. And then I was like, shit, low blow. And that kind of just, you know, shot me down. But I was like, you know what, it happens. And all throughout my junior year, I kind of just like, you know, it was a bummer. Like I would always see her in class and we would talk and we would be cool. We became very good friends. But throughout the whole junior year, you know, it was just like, I knew, you know, I couldn't do nothing because I'm a guy that respects, you know, relationships. I'm not going to keep trying to spit, even though I know she has a man. I was like, all right, I'm going to leave it the hell alone. Then come senior year, I don't know how it was brought up in the conversation, but I think like I found out that she wasn't, you know, in a relationship anymore. So I was like, okay. And then I had her for English class again. But this time, you know, I had her with my homie Gil and my homie Daniel. And even they used to be like obsessed with her too. Like every time they'd be like, damn, like Melissa is fire. And I'm like, hey, yo, chill. That's me, bro. And even you could go ask my homie Gil. He was like, yeah, that was his thing. Like everybody backed off. Like, and my assigned seat wasn't even in front of her. But nigga, like my English teacher gave zero fucks. So like I would literally just, anybody who would sit in front of her, I would low-key just like punk these niggas out of their seat or just come up with some elaborate scheme if I couldn't punk them to get them to move. And somehow my seat ended up right in front of hers, even though we had to sit alphabetically, but our names were not, her last name started with an M, mine starts with a G. So I was like, but somehow I finessed that. I'm over here dying because I'm in the middle of the story. But all senior year, you know, I was just getting in my kind of, you know, in my bag a little bit. You know, I was, you know, every time we would have movie night in English, you know, I'd be, you know, all, you know, hugged up with her, leaning on her shoulder, she leaning on my shoulder, you know. She always feeling on my hair. She always telling me like stories about this and that. And like, we never like flirted, but you can just like, and everybody knew like we had something going on, and everybody knew that like she kind of had a thing toward me. But like we never just like actually started like going out, but we were just really cool with each other. But that was what I was gonna use prom for. Prom was gonna be that moment where I finally say, you know what? Fuck all this like little puppy love shit. Fuck all this like, you know, diddle daddling around. Like, I'm gonna use prom as an opportunity to finally like say, hey, like let's actually, you know, start going out like on dates like outside of, you know, school and whatnot. So I called my homegirl Dory, my best friend, partner in crime. And I was like, hey, I'm thinking about asking this girl to prom because, you know what, I think, you know, we got a thing going on. I think she be down. So Dory came up with this whole elaborate scheme. Okay, like, let's do like a scavenger hunt where like we have one sign and it says like, go here. And then when she goes there, we have someone else give her a note. And then that note says, go here. Basically like send her on this long, like, you know, chase, only for it to end up with her like finding me and I'm holding a sign saying, will you go to prom with me? And when Dory told me this idea, I was like, hey, that sound low-key cool. So she spent like all night with her sister making the signs and whatnot. And literally the day when I'm getting ready to ask, I'm nervous as fuck, bro. Like I'm just shaking, like, damn, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I know that we had a class, I think it was second period, with Melissa's best friend. Her best friend was named Olga, and I knew Olga always hung out with her during lunch. And I keep in mind, I never talked to Olga. Olga was always just sitting in the front, minding her own damn business. She was kind of weird, keep it real. But me and Dory went up to Olga, and we were like, hey, and we told her the whole thing, like, hey, Jordan's thinking about asking Melissa to prom. We just want to know, you know, where does she hang out at during lunch, and if you could help us out. And she was like, yeah, like she hangs out here, like this is where we go, this and that. So if you guys want to do it, just go ahead. And at that moment, we thought we did something good. We were like, okay, we got the scoop from Olga. That was the worst thing we could have did, was ask Olga for advice, because Olga is the one that ruined it all. So come lunch, I don't go anywhere near Dory, because Dory's gonna be the one that sets it up. Dory was gonna be the one that like goes to her and gives her the first note and then basically start the scavenger hunt. So I went and hung out at my normal spot, and I'm sitting on the table and I'm just waiting. Like I'm waiting for like Dory to come and say like, hey, like, okay, come over here and wait. And then out of nowhere, as I'm sitting and I'm waiting, I see Melissa and Olga like walking really fast out the cafeteria, which is weird because I never see them outside the cafeteria. They normally hang out inside. But when I saw them walking like that, I was like, where are they going? But I couldn't stop her because we had a plan. And if I were to stop her right there and be like, hey, you know, it would blow everything. So I had to watch her walk by me, and I was like, where is she going? And then Dory was texting me, and she was like, hey, like, do you know where she's at? She's not in the cafeteria. And I was like, yeah, come out here, because I just saw her and she's not in the cafeteria. And we spent like almost the whole entire lunch period looking for her, and we couldn't find her. And I'm thinking like, where the fuck did she go? And we were just looking and looking, and then finally, like way across campus in the far distance, I see her. Like I see her sitting next to Olga, and I'm just like, holy shit, there she is. So I tell Dory's sister Malin, I'm like, hey, go talk to her and tell her what we were trying to do, because it's some type of weird energy going on. And Malin goes over there, and she's talking to her. And I can just tell by the way like their body language is that she's not wanting to get up. Melissa's just like, no, I'm not going. And I'm thinking like, what happened? Like, what, like, did I miss something? Or like, I don't know. And then after, whoa, hold up. Let me focus, y'all. I gotta, it's two of them. I don't know. Wow, I just fucking died. Wow. Okay, let me see if I can recuperate real quick so I can continue this story. Hold up, y'all. Give me 1 second. Can you die? Thank you. Okay, but as I was saying, After a few minutes, Malin finally comes and she's like, has this annoyed look on her face. And I'm like, what happened? She's like, she's not coming. And I'm like, what do you mean? She says, apparently Olga, hold up, let me finish fighting this dude first before I get to the juicy part.
A few moments later.
There we go, finally, goddamn. But as I was saying, Malin was like, yeah, she's not coming. And I was like, okay, well, like, what did she say? And she was like, basically, Olga spoiled the surprise, and she doesn't want to go with you. She knows what you're gonna ask, and she doesn't even want to come over here and tell you no. She told me to come over here and tell you no. Okay, quick side note, because I left out a very important detail right here. Now, before she said that she didn't want to face me, her first excuse was that she wasn't sure if she could afford prom, so she planned on not even going. Remember that statement for later on, trust me. But what she didn't know is that I was already 2 steps ahead. Now, I mentioned this later on, but the school had a fundraiser that would pay for prom if you sold X amount of yada, yada, yada. So what I did was hustle my ass off so I could raise enough to pay for me to go. Then I was going to pay out of pocket for her to go. Malin, already knowing this, tried to explain that to her. And that's when she kind of ran out of excuses and just decided to admit, well, I just don't want to talk to him, face him, nor go to prom with him. So, yeah, pass Jordan, take it on back. And I was just like, huh? First off, like, huh? Like, did I do something wrong? Because from my understanding, like, you like me, I like you. We've had like this energy going on all year. You haven't shown any signs of like you like not liking me like that. So like, how come all of a sudden you're just like, you don't even want to look me in the eye? Like, you don't even want to talk to me. And then, like, literally, I just felt sick to my stomach, bro. And, like, they were trying to cheer me up, and I was just like, nah. I was like, you know what? I was like, you know, shit happens. You get turned down. And I remember when we went to, because the class I had with her was, like, later on in the day. It was after lunch. And I remember going to class, and I didn't even sit in front of her. I went and sat in the back with Gil, and I was just pissed off. Like, and she was sitting in front, and I'm just sitting there looking at her just like. And for a minute, bro, I held like such a bad grudge against her, and I talked so bad about her. And like, even I would catch me, like me and Gil would be in the back, like saying stuff. And she, like, I think a few times she would hear it, and she would like get irritated and shit. And I don't know, I was just being real petty. And then not only that, I was mad at Olga too, because I was like, you're the one who spoiled the surprise. Because even if Olga didn't say nothing, we would have went and caught her in the cafeteria. We would have did everything, and then she would have looked me in the face and told me no. But since Olga fucked it all up, you know, it didn't even go that way. She didn't even want to look at me. And when I went home that day to my mom, man, like, you know, my mom hit me with the, so how'd it go? What'd she say? Like, yeah, keep in mind, when I went into my room, I still had to sign. I just threw the sign down on the floor, and I just sat on my bed and, like, you know, head hanging low. My mom walks in. So, how'd it go? And you know when you're talking, but like you're trying to like hold back from crying, but your voice starts like cracking and breaking. I was just like, Mom, I went and asked her, and I don't know, like she said like she didn't want to go, and like my mom she grabbed me and she hugged me, and I was crying, bro. And she was like, and my thing was, I was like, is something wrong with me? I was like, am I like that flawed of a person? Am I ugly? Am I hideous? Is there something wrong with me to the point that she just didn't want to look at me? And my mom, she grabbed me. She was like, Jordan, you are a handsome young man. She's like, you have flaws, but at the end of the day, everybody does. There's nothing wrong with you. Perhaps there's something wrong with her. Maybe she just couldn't face you, or maybe she's going through stuff. But until then, she's like, don't let it discourage you. And I'm tears rolling down my face, snot coming out. I'm a hot mess. But like I said, for a while, I just, you know, I kept giving her the side eye. I talked so much crap. And then I finally talked to my homeboy Cook. It's my homeboy Cook. He was real good friends with her. And I told him about the whole situation. And he looked at me, bro. He was like, fuck, bro. He's like, I feel so bad. He's like, let's keep it real. Like, I think she fucks with you too. But he was like, hey, this nigga dropped game on me, bro. Like, he opened my mind. He said, I'm gonna be real with you, bro. He said, I think I know what the situation is. He says, I think she comes from a family of tradition where I don't think necessarily her parents would approve if an African American was taking her out to the prom. And it finally clicked, because I noticed that when I used to call her house phone, like, her family only spoke Spanish. Like, she was the only one that, like, her and her sister were the only ones that spoke English. And I could tell by the vibe of, like, the way, like, her family would talk in the background. They were very, you know, Latin tradition, very, like, I could tell, like, they kind of keep it that way. They don't really, you know, approve of, you know, doing things outside of their culture, outside of their race. So when he told me that, I was just like, fuck, you know what it probably was? She probably wanted to go to prom with me, but she was probably, like, afraid of what her parents might say, or what, like, they might, you know, or how they might view her. And once he said that, I was just like, you know what? Okay, respect. I'm not even mad. It is what it is. Until I found out she went to prom with Olga, with just friends by herself, and I didn't go, but I found out she went and have fun with her girlfriends, and I could have went and have fun with I don't know who, but lo and behold, she went to prom and had a good time, and I didn't.
Flashback.
So she planned on not even going.
End of flashback.
I was stuck at home. So yeah, at the end of the day, I don't hold grudges, but I'm still low-key a little bit salty over that shit. So yeah, that's my story on how I did not go to prom. It was like, golly. And oh snap, I forgot the most important detail. This is what made me so damn salty in the first place. In case you don't know, prom costs money. And at that moment, we couldn't afford it. So the school had this elaborate scheme. They're like, hey, I don't know, I forget what it is we have to sell, but they're like, if you sell a certain amount of these, it'll pay for your prom. So nigga, I busted my ass. So I was like, oh yeah, I gotta, if I can't afford all this, well, we could afford some of it, not all of it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna spend whatever I can spend on my suit and get like her everything she needs, but I'm about to bust my ass and sell this chocolate or whatever it was so I can, you know, get as much off as I could. I met the requirements, sold more than what I needed to, got everything, and I ended up not going. And then at first they were like, oh, well, if you don't end up going to prom, you can use that to pay for grad night. And I was like, okay, well, can I use it to pay for grad night? And they were like, oh, well, actually, we reversed that, and you have to pay for grad night now. So I was like, well, what about all the shit I sold? Well, you sold it. Excuse me?